Hello, my name is Holly Stockler, and I am the Technology Integration Specialist for Yorktown Community Schools. Recently, Pam attended a training session my superintendent and I had on virtual learning days for snow makeup. And so she asked me to kind of crash your meeting today and share a couple of other examples with you, ones that she didn't have access to. She will have some access to some of ours, some good examples that I pulled. From My Big Campus, because you all have My Big Campus logins, and I understand that's what your teachers are currently building their practice activities in. I do want to show you how those kind of same activities look in Canvas. It is a little bit different, whereas learning management system use is really irrelevant as long as you have one. The learning does look a little bit different packaged in Canvas, so I kind of wanted to give you that overview as well. I have two that I'm going to share with you today. One is a kindergarten one. Oftentimes, folks can't wrap their mind around how e-learning days look at a primary level, so I thought it would be good to share that with you. And then the second is one from our high school physics teacher. You're going to see a big imbalance in the amount of time it's going to take elementary teachers to prepare their e-learning activities versus a secondary teacher, because secondary teachers typically only teach 2, maybe 3 courses at best, and then they teach those courses multiple times. So they only prep 2 or 3 different modules or bundles. In the case of a primary teacher or any elementary teacher that's non-departmentalized for that matter, they're going to be prepping 5 hours worth of work each, which 5 to 6 different subjects, that's a lot. So I want to kind of talk you through that and show you that a little bit. The first one I have pulled up here is our kindergarten module. You'll notice an opening statement in there. The fact of the matter is elementary children, primary children specifically, have got to have help from an adult in doing this. They're not able to read. A kindergartner can't read all this, obviously. And even in Canvas now, we have the ability to screen record all this and do audio with it, which is fabulous. But even still, this information that we require opening the bundles or the modules needs to be in text. So you'll see that this says about how much time this should take. Talks about how we would like them to share what they're doing here. It talks about how the digital and the paperwork are blended together, whereas it's not allowed by the state of Indiana to provide just homework packets for elementary students to do. It has to be actually digital learning takes place. You'll notice in ours, all of the instruction is done digitally. Some of the practice is done digitally, but most all of the assessment is done on paper. So it's certainly a blended situation for our youngest learners, because that's how their classrooms run all the time. So we need to stay true to that. It also talks about teacher availability and how they can be reached for office hour times or for questions. And then it also provides information to our tech helpline. I know Pam has heard this and the group that she brought with her, but we cannot stress enough how important it is to provide 24-hour access to someone school-related who's going to be able to field the questions and also to kind of squash the frustrations that come along with this. In our district, that's me, but you can organize this several different ways, but you need to talk to Pam about that if she's not yet shared that with the group. So this is the opening statement. If you proceed through the module here, you're going to see that the first activity, our kindergarten teachers, what they do is they arrange everything by 1 page per subject area. That's way more simple for our little kids, so that's what this looks like. You'll notice here, it says what the subject area is and about how long it should take the students to complete this activity. This is an audio recorded message from the teacher explaining what they'll be doing in this one, which is very helpful. It kind of sets the stage for learning, and that is required. All activities, e-learning activities, are required to have some kind of introduction with them, and this is it. And then you need to have some kind of instructional component. Now in our district, we like that instructional component it can be one of 2 things. It can be from a pre-made source like YouTube, Khan Academy, those kinds of sources. That's fine. Our preference is that it comes from one of our own Yorktown Community Schools teachers. Now this is a kindergarten module, so it doesn't matter which one of the teachers provide that. We have 7 kindergarten teachers. but we want a face that belongs to one of our teachers in every single module for our students. The feedback we got from parents, they were insistent on that our district has great teachers and they want to see them on e-learning days, not just be taught by YouTube. Now this is a little get you motivated. This is a YouTube-ish ABC song to go with this. And then you'll see we have one of our teachers, that's Mrs. Davis in there. She's actually doing an instructional component here. She's talking about their high frequency words and what they're going to do with that. So you'll notice my teachers are real good to put visual directions for our youngest learners. Click, this sign means click, on the video below. So even if they can't read all these words they've taught them prior to in directions for centers and for those kinds of things, if that's what these icon means, click on the video below, they watch it, and then click on the picture for all of your word lists. So if they click here, it's going to pull up all of their high frequency words, and that's what they're going to do with that. Then it goes into a review of vowel sounds. Let's skip on to the next subject area here. So you can kind of see how it's going to flow. Here's a continued with their phonics. This is a continuation from what was on the page before. It's now telling them to find this paper. They are going to have a packet of paper for kind of an application or practice. So it's telling them to find this, then click on the video below. And when I do that,
phonics lesson with A5, and that says A. And so on our paper, we're going to start off by writing that at the top.
So you'll see this is one of our teachers, Mrs. Wilhelm. She is actually demonstrating how they're going to do this word building phonics activity. This is exactly how she would run this in class. And so she's doing it in kindergarten. We model, and that's what she's doing through this. So our instructional practices don't change just because it's a digital learning day. This is a fine example of that. So she's walking them through. They'll be filling out their paper right along with her as she's modeling, which is exactly what you do in a kindergarten classroom. Then for their kind of assessment to see how they could do this, you know, our students don't have one-to-one devices that we send home. So we never know if they're using an iPad or a computer. So they're going to use an iPad or a computer to make their A words. Click below to learn how to use the app or website. There's little tutorials, whether you're using an iPad or whether you're using a computer for that. And they're going to do what they ask them to do. There's directions there, and they talk them through all of that in there. And then they're going to post their responses to a Padlet page. And let's see if they still have that linked here. Yeah, so you can see the different kinds of things that the students posted then. So this is for one particular classroom. This is Mrs. Cantwell's classroom. And you can see this is what they built on their iPads, and they just posted a screenshot there. That's their assessment. So the little paper that they did was their practice with the teacher, and then the actual word building on the digital word building, and this is how they submit their assignment through Padlet. So you can see that's just, it's going to look a little different than secondary when you see that. Oops. Excuse me, went to the wrong one already. Put that. So that's kind of the phonics activity in kindergarten and how that looks. If I go on to the next subject area, I think we should be done here with phonics. Yeah, now we're moving more into reading, and this is a little scholastic activity that they would do in class. This kind of merges their reading and their science together, actually. So we're going to click on the video below, and we're going to read a little bit about eggs here. And so this video is just basically, they're having this kid follow along with this, get out your magazine, and then the teacher's following along and going through it just as she would in class here. Then as we move on for making inferences, this is still part of reading. This activity is going to take 60 minutes. Here's a little video about inferencing here that teachers made using Powtoons. And then they're going to practice, click here to practice what they learned about making inferences. And then they're going to make inferences about, practice making inferences using a story, guess what's growing inside the egg. And this is one of our own teachers, actually a screen recording of her reading that book.
Hello, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Church. And I'm good.
It's very important that teachers introduce themselves in case teachers are sharing activities. It's important that they introduce themselves so that parents understand that it is one of our teachers doing that. And then again, it's telling them what to find, and then there's Mrs. Church going through and doing a little making inferences paper, activity paper with them, again, as they would in class. For here, you'll see level 1, level 2, level 3. This is differentiated activities. This is very complex. I certainly wouldn't expect my teachers to start with this. This was at the end of year 2. I kind of insisted that they put a little bit of differentiation as they would in their own classroom lessons. So students know what level they are, and they would click there. You can see the difference in complexity there. Anyway, so there's more like that. The kindergarten module just continues. I don't want to take all of your meeting time here showing you that, but it just kind of continues. It's set up the same kind of way. Here's math, same kind of thing. Click the video below, and it kind of walks them through how they would complete their paper, a teacher modeling how to use those tools. So you can kind of get an idea for how that looks. Now let's take a look at a secondary, which is going to be a little bit different. This is one of our high school teachers, a physics teacher, and when we set out the expectation that teacher presence would be in all modules, it was a little difficult for this teacher because some of the concepts that he teaches are very, very complex. And he uses a lot of video demonstrations that are pre-created on a daily basis in his classroom. So that since that's his typical practice, we did not expect him to do anything different from that. So this whole module is about the speed of light. You'll see he has a little introduction here. His looks a lot different than it did when that introduction was meant for parents. This is actually meant for high school students. Here's your goal. Here's your completion. Here's my office hours. Let me know what you need. So this teacher, instead of creating a lot of digital instruction on his own, he did an introduction of digital instruction, which is it's perfectly acceptable and what we would ask the teachers to do. I'm going to have you watch this, even though it may seem a little silly to have you watch this, because it's interesting the motivation he uses for his big kids, how different that is.
Oh, hey guys. Didn't see you there. Just doing my nightly sprints. But while you're here, you might as well do your DLD bundle. Speaking of sprints, today's bundle is all about the speed of light. Couldn't you tell? Well, today I've got 3 videos for you to watch. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you're in a spaceship traveling the speed of light and then you turn on your headlights?
So he's building interest in the lesson here. Obviously, he's being a little silly. He doesn't typically wear a duck hat to school every day.
About 20 minutes worth of video.
He's telling them what they're going to do.
Pick a project. You can either pick to make a timeline of some experiments that people have done, or go to your kitchen or somebody else's kitchen and use their microwave to figure out what the speed of light is. Pretty neat.
Okay, that is key. As we've progressed through this process, we preach, give students choice to show what they know, give students choice in class. Ben carried that same philosophy into his e-learning activities, which is not an easy thing to do. So you'll notice that the first choice, they could do a timeline, paper pencil activity, get it done if you want, whatever. The second one was more project-based, using a microwave or materials that you'd have at home. As long as that's simple, that's fabulous. We do encourage teachers, if they're going to ask for project-based stuff at home that require a lot of materials, that they send. If they would normally provide the materials in class, they have to provide the materials for home. But providing that option, that choice in what students are going to do to show what they know, that's kind of, again, end of year 2, kind of a step above thing. But certainly a best practice that we like to see in our digital learning.
I've got a schoolwork set up for you so you can put some pictures or a little document in there to show me what kind of work you do.
Documentation, so that's their assessment.
These videos are crazy, but that's what physics does to you. Good luck. Let me know what kind of questions you have. See you later.
Very informal, but very effective. And so as I click through his module, you're going to notice, number 1, how much more simplistic it is than the kindergarten. Number 2, you're going to notice how short it is. And so you got that imbalance, like I said, of work. I mean, Ben teaches the same class 3 different times. So he's made a very short module. It did not, the prep time it took this teacher was not the prep time that it took a kindergarten teacher to make theirs, obviously. So anyway, here you have just a video about the speed of light, kind of showing them what that means. followed by another one. These are all things, very short videos, but all things he would want them to watch. He said 20 minutes worth of video total. That's really their instructional component. His part wasn't instruction. His was introduction of the activity, setting the stage, kind of doing a little bit of motivation. This is actually instructional component made by other people. But for this particular topic, that's what he would do in class anyway. Some of the things that he shows, you need a lot of equipment to do, and it's not feasible for him to recreate that. So after they watch those three, then they get their option of pick a project. Those are laid out. They're laid out for what is expected from them. They're talked about how you can document your projects, what we want to see in those projects. Number 1 is the timeline. Number 2 is the optional microwave activity for the speed of light with a chocolate bar, which is also awesome. And a little demonstration for that he provided. How you calculate the speed of light with your microwave, and then they just submit their work here. And folks, that's it. So, I mean, that's so simple that his amount of time, if Pam's going to share with you formulas that we used and whether you choose to use those or not, but is up to you. This was an AP course, so this activity should have taken 60 minutes, and it would have based on Ben's estimation. So it's important that secondary teachers stick to those formulas, critical, in fact, so that the students aren't overloaded. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you today. I hope that this was helpful. I know it's not always fun to watch a video when you're in a meeting, but I wanted to kind of give you some of our background for our thoughts behind how our things are structured and kind of show you examples how both of those worked. I hope you enjoy coming through our My Big Campus ones, and I really hope that you're happy with what you see from your teachers. Whereas we ask that you don't use our content because of Creative Commons and those kinds of things, you are more than welcome to show the content to your teachers so that they can get an idea of what a good one looks like. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. So thank you so much. Good luck with your e-learning ventures.